Hey PC, it's Buck here. I'm going to show you how I'm making a toy today based on the leprechaun doll. And basically I chose the leprechaun doll because of what I'm making. You can see my images here. I'm making Frankenstein. So I want him to be like a squeaky toy. Between the leprechaun and the wool chew doll, I chose the leprechaun just because I like the noises better. That's the only difference really for me. So let's get to it. What we're going to need, obviously I already have my images created, so we can discuss that in another tutorial because photo editing is kind of its own thing. If you have a knack for it, great. You may not need help with that. If you do need help, maybe you can check out the other tutorial. Alright, so what we're going to need for hexing this bad boy is Lines Pro. You can see at the bottom I have all my programs open here. Lines Pro, I've got Tinker, and I've got a hex editor. I use H times D, and that's new to me. Actually, when I did all my clothes, I didn't really realize that that is to change sprites, and now I know. So, you know, you live and learn. It's a process, and we learn and we incorporate things so we can make our stuff better. So the first step, we're going to start in Lines Pro. I'm going to open up my actual toy here. So where do I have my stuff? Pets for resource. Toys, and I want to use the leprechaun. So we'll open that up. Before I do anything else, because I'm notorious, I'll make all of my edits and then I'll just hit save blindly. So I'm going to do this now so don't forget to do it later. We save as, we're going to rename this to what we want to call it. I'm going to call mine BFK Frankenstein. Save. So this says the file name you've chosen is different from the original name of the breed. Perfect, that's what I want. And yes, I want to make a new breed so it's separate from the wool chew doll and it shows up in the toy closet as a separate entity. So we're going to hit next. My ID number, I've already chosen one. We'll go over how to create one of those on another video. So what I'm going to use today is 11028. Finish, and now we see at the top here it says Frankenstein instead of wool chew doll, so I'm ready to go. What I'm going to do now, I actually don't need to open up Wave, sorry. What I'm going to do now is rename all the sprites. So basically it's not going to clash with the chew doll, it's going to be its own entity, and the way to do that is to change these. So it tells the game that it's not pulling from the same sprite as for the chew doll, it's its own thing. So you can choose anything as long as you make sure that it's the same exact length as this. I like to include my ID number, just that's how I chose to name my stuff. So I'm going to go 11028L1. The reason I want to do that is because I know personally that every single toy I make, I'm not going to choose the same name. Because it's numerical and it matches the ID number, that's the logic behind why I'm doing that. So we're going to change everything here that we see that is the chew underscore L1. Make sure for the away you keep the underscore in the away. You don't want to delete that. So we change all of the instances here. For the text, this file, you can change this, and that's your on-screen tip there. There we go. Not very creative, but that's all I have coming to my mind right now. So sounds here, these are all of our leprechaun sounds. That's why I chose the leprechaun doll, because there's a lot more sounds. The wool chew doll has 2 squeaky noises. They are really cute. I do really like that one too. But for this toy, I thought I might as well do the leprechaun squeaker and have it a little bit more of a squeaky, plasticky kind of a toy. I also changed this up here, which says chew underscore W1, underscore L1 as well. The reason I do that is because sometimes I do like to edit the sounds and change them. And if that doesn't match, then it won't pull from this file. It'll pull from the chew doll, from the leprechaun doll. So I change that now in case I come back in later and edit the sounds. Okay, there's one more there, and there's one more here that we have to change the sprite name of. And I always like to change this to the actual name of my toy. So I save that, and now I'm done in lines. So every time that I switch programs, I'm going to want to exit, save and exit. Otherwise, if you go back into lines later, you start making edits, oops, now all of a sudden you've undid what you did in another program because you didn't open the updated file. So here, I'm going to go into pets 4. No, I don't want the shortcut. That's a pain in the butt. I always do that. Resource, toys, and whoops. If I could type, that would be pretty handy. There's my Frankenstein doll. Okay, this is what it looks like in the hex editor. Don't worry, it's not that scary. The nice thing is you can hit Control F to find what you're looking for. And we want to type in sprite. That'll take us right to where we want to go. So again, we have to change our sprites in the hex editor. For the leprechaun doll, there's 2 that we have to change. This one here, chew_L1. Remember, that's what it was in lines as well. And I've copied and pasted. If you want, you can just type over top of it. So don't delete anything, just make sure you just type over top. Like that as well. Save it. Now it's going to show up on its own in the toy closet. All we have to do is go into Tinker and change the pictures so it doesn't show up as the leprechaun doll. In between all of these steps, you can go into, and I actually encourage you to, go into pets and make sure that everything has happened properly. For me, I'm not going to see the finished result. Oh, I'm in pets 5 by accident. Let's switch to pets 4. Oh gosh, typing issues. Perfect, open that up. Okay, so we have 2 sprites here. We have one for what it's going to look like in game and one for what it's going to look like away, which is in the toy closet. So let's do that first. I'm going to import my images. I have them all saved on the desktop. There's my little away image. Perfect. Boom, he shows up. Now what I can do is click on this image that I just imported and Control C for copy. And then, oh, you know what? I forgot. So the leprechaun doll, the first image is 0, 0 for X shift, Y shift. The second image is at a different location. So we're actually going to import these all by hand. Because if we don't, it'll change our location and then it may not show up in the closed closet because it'll be over here rather than here where we want it. So import these all manually and boom, perfect. A nice way to check to make sure that you've done everything properly is hit that because it'll actually go through the animation and all of a sudden if there's a little leprechaun doll, you know you missed something. So save that. We want to open again. The nice thing is it remembers what we just worked on, so you can hit open, edit this, and we're going to do all of these different images here. So we have a couple different little animations to do. The first one is the grabbed. I like to do the angle, so when you pick it up, the toy is kind of on an angle. That's just a preference. You can do whatever you like. Dropped. I'm going to start with a couple of the straight images. So it looks like it's actually falling. As you can see, it's actually shifting downwards. And then I'm going to do my little angular photos so that it looks like it's kind of flopping as it's landing. And that one, last but not least. And again, click on the dropped to make sure. Cool. It doesn't look this bad in game. So don't mind that the images look a little off. So this one says resting, so we're going to make the straight on one the same as, oh sorry, you can make it the same as grabbed, but you don't have to. And for the leprechaun doll, you also have a little chew animation. Personally, I don't really think that this actually works in game, but I like to do the little dropping animation fairly similar to what I did above for the dropped. Oops, did that work? It does take a bit, but I honestly love the animations. They're so much fun when they actually come together in game. So again, click the chew to make sure that we see that it's working. Perfect, save that. We're all done, and that's it, guys. Now we're gonna go in and see our finished product. Toy closet. Wow, my game's loud, sorry. And it should show up right here, and then later when you go back in, it might have a new location. So that's pretty much it. We've made our toy. So one last little thing, you can see that I'm kind of grabbing his mouth. That's going to drive me crazy, so I'm going to change that right now. Frankenstein, we're going to go back into our original sprite. I have to put this away. I just remembered. It's yelling at me. Open that up again. There we go. So this is for grabbed, because obviously we want it to be in our hand. And the X shift and the Y shift is what we're going to change. So we want it to go over a little bit, maybe, and we want it to go down quite a bit. So we'll change that. We test it out in game. That's too far over. Let's go back. And maybe down a teensy bit more. And test it out again. That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that. Right, and that's pretty much it, guys. We just made a toy. What do you think? Let's try doing some other stuff.